Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the 12 Minute Talks podcast. I'm excited to have with us today Marisol Cruz from Cruz Legal PA. She's a Florida licensed attorney helping clients in the area of business, commercial, and family law. Marisol, thank you so much for being on today.
Hi, Lorena. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So we're going to touch on a few different topics today that I think are important for people out there to get some information, especially when it comes to legal matters, right? So before we get into that, why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey into this industry?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Marisol Cruz. I have been a lawyer now for just about 7 years. And when I graduated law school, I started my law practice with a business partner. And eventually we split, ways. And in 2016, I opened my own law firm because I wanted to uh, dedicate myself to helping small businesses and families, which is why I focus my law practice on business, commercial, and family law.
Fantastic. So what was it like transitioning from having a business partner to working on your own, I guess?
Well, it's nice to have a business partner because you have somebody to bounce ideas off of all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a great way to get started right after law school. I did have a lot of paralegal experience before becoming a lawyer, which helped a lot in the behind the scenes aspects of being a lawyer. But now that I'm a solo, it's great because I run my own practice, so I make my own decisions, and I'm able to do things as they arise. I don't have to wait to consult with my business partner. I do miss having, somebody here all the time to consult with, but there's a really big network of a lot of solo attorneys like myself,
Mm-hmm.
and we've sort of built our own network where we're able to reach out to each other and consult on ideas. So I've been able to sort of fill the gap on that aspect so it doesn't get so lonely as a solo practitioner.
Yeah, that's fantastic. As a solopreneur myself, I can relate. Sometimes it's like, maybe somebody else that does something similar can give me some tips or advice, right, on how to handle
Right,
something. Yeah,
right.
fantastic. And so, Marisol, why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is that you help other businesses and families solve?
Sure. So with regards to family law, it's probably one of the most emotional areas of law practice because it's very personal. It's helping people through divorces with custody issues. People are going through, a very low point in their life, oftentimes, and so I try to navigate the legal proceedings in a way that will minimize the impacts for the families. I'm very hands-on, and so I want to make it least painful possible for the families going through it. And it's possible. We get it done a lot of ways that are creative, and it helps them to move on to the next phase of whatever it is that they're going through. With
Yeah,
regards to
I
the
want to
business,
pause. Wait, I
oh,
want to
okay,
pause there for a minute so we
sure.
can talk about divorce. Um, so I've been hearing a lot on the news about divorce rates going up more than usual, I guess, because of the pandemic and everything else going on. Um, so it's great to have like a professional like you that can definitely guide people towards the right way of dealing with so many issues as far as divorce. So is it mainly divorces for couples that have children, or can it be just any couple going through divorce?
It can be any couple. So there's a lot of different laws affecting couples when they're divorcing, whether you have children or not. There's issues of, properties and assets and liabilities that need to be addressed when you're getting a divorce. And sometimes there's even divorces that are super simple, where they
Hmm.
don't have any assets, no liabilities, no children, and there's a specific process that can be done for couples getting a divorce through that. It's just a matter of finding out which process is the best for that particular couple.
Right. And so like here in Florida, I believe people can go and divorce themselves in the court,
Yes.
right? So what would be the advantage of hiring a lawyer instead of doing things themselves?
So that's a question I get a lot, and I actually help clients sometimes fill out the forms that are available. The benefit of getting a lawyer to help you, a licensed attorney, is going to be able to answer questions. So yes, Florida has self-help forms, because sometimes it can be expensive and a lot of families don't have the resources. But when you get a form, the form is going to ask you questions with a lot of that relate to a lot of the rights and obligations that you have, whether it's to your assets and liabilities or your kids. And you might not understand, if you check box A, what's the difference between checking box A and box B? How does that affect you individually? How will it affect your kids? How will it affect your assets or liabilities? And so if you're with a lawyer, you can ask the lawyer, well, what does it mean if I check box A as opposed to box B? How does that affect me personally? Um, and so sometimes I represent clients fully. I do all the paperwork for them. I just ask them some questions to understand what it is that their goals are. But when they can't afford it, I also help clients by getting the forms that they have, and we set up a Zoom, video like this, or we have a phone call, and we go through the forms together. And rather than pay me a full legal fee to represent them from beginning to end, they pay me for a couple hours of time, and we go through the forms, and they can ask me, Marisol, what do I answer on question 6? I
Right.
don't understand what it means. Can you help me? And then I will give them the legal advice that they need to make the best decision for their family.
That's fantastic, to have options for different budgets here
Yeah,
in Florida. It's important. And like I always say, people should always make an informed decision, and
yes,
who better than an attorney, right? Not go like, oh, my cousin got divorced themselves. Well, your cousin is not
yes.
the same as you, right? And so let's switch gears a little bit, because you said that you also practice business law. And so, how do you help businesses here in Florida?
So with regards to businesses, I help small and medium-sized businesses. Um, and it can be, I have an idea for a business. What do I do? How do I get started? And you need a lot of protections as a business, because as an individual, sometimes people decide to just start doing stuff without formally starting their business. And there's potentials for personal liability that can attach if you're doing business that way. And so if somebody's starting out, I make sure that um, whatever protections they need for the particular type of business that they're starting are being done properly. It's really important if you to cross your T's and dot your I's at the onset, because doing so can minimize liability. It can make you save a lot of time, money, hassle, headache, stress down the line. Um, so I want to make sure that my clients understand everything that could happen in the future, and that the protections that are available to them. If it's a business that's already started, sometimes they need to fix some of the business structures. Sometimes they need to, fix some of the licensing that's required, or sometimes they need a contract for services that they provide, or they need to defend a lawsuit because they were sued, or they have to sue somebody because there's, somebody didn't follow through on a business deal or something like that.
Right.
So it's all aspects of the business relationship, whether it's at the beginning, in the middle, or something in between.
Yeah, definitely. There's different stages to any business, so it's important that as they're starting or growing, or maybe transitioning a business to like their kids, right? That
Right.
everything is done legally and the right way for them as well.
Yeah. I
Fantastic.
always say it's more cost efficient to hire a lawyer to do it right the first time than to pay a lawyer to fix it on the back end, because which is oftentimes what happens, because it's a handshake deal or whatever it may be, and then by the time the lawyers get involved, the mess is already there, and cleaning up a mess is very, very expensive.
Yes, I could imagine. Right? Yeah, it's not like, oh, we wrote it on a napkin and we shook on it. Like, you need
Exactly.
legal paperwork, for that stuff. So great. And so, Marisol, here in Miami, where we live, there's a lot of lawyers out there. So what's something that sets you apart from others in your field?
Um, so I send out like a questionnaire to my clients whenever we conclude representation. And one of the recurring feedback comments that I get from, I would say over 90% of them, is that I'm very hands-on. And I speak to them in non-legal terms, that I help them understand legal things in the language that they speak. Because it's important, there's a lot of legal terminology and things that I use every day, all day, because it's what I do. But maybe the regular person who doesn't understand it doesn't really know what it means and how it affects them. And so I want to make sure that people understand their rights, what's involved, what they're waiving or what they're getting into, because it can have lifelong effects. And so that's one of the biggest pieces of feedback I get. And the other one I get is that I'm a very compassionate person. A lot of people say, you're not like your typical lawyer. You kind of feel like my friend,
Right.
which is good, because when you hire a lawyer, you want to make sure that the person that you hire is somebody that you feel comfortable with and that you trust. And not all of us lawyers are created equal. And so it's okay for you to interview 1, 5, 10 lawyers until you find that person that you have that sort of connection with,
Mm-hmm.
because you want to be able to speak to your lawyer freely and comfortably, because they're representing you in something that could be huge.
Yeah, that's very important. Um, Especially, yeah, getting along with your lawyer and making sure that that it's somebody you can talk to, right?
Yeah,
Is good.
it's important.
Yeah. And so, Marisol, how can somebody reach out to you if they would like more information about what you do?
My office number is 305-418-4466. You can also find me on the web at cruzlegalpa.com. I'm also available on social media on Facebook and Instagram, which are relatively active accounts. And the social media handles are the same as my website, Cruz Legal PA.
Awesome. And like always, we'll have all of the links down below. So those listening or watching the video can easily click and follow her and reach out to Marisol. And I just wanted to quickly introduce myself for those of you that don't know who I am. My name is Lorena Tomasini, and I'm the owner of Mom Life and Health Insurance Agency, where together with my mom, we help other families and businesses with their financial protection needs. Marisol, it's been great having you today on the 12 Minute Talks podcast. But before I let you go, I do have a random question.
Sure.
Um, what would you say is one of your hobbies?
Oh, I have a lot of hobbies. I think my favorite one is riding a Harley Davidson.
Okay, there you go. There's a big community here of people that ride Harley Davidsons.
Yes,
So you never know, you could be their lawyer.
yes.
There you go.
Thank you
Fantastic.
for having me, Lorena.
Thank you so much, Marisol. Is there anything else you would like to add?
I just want everybody to be safe during this COVID pandemic.
Thank you for listening to this podcast and hope you will listen to the next one. I'm Lorena Tomasini, and you can contact me via email life@malmins.com. Make it a great day.